Hey guys, Kelade here. Welcome to my Mythic Aggramar kill slash commentary video. For this fight, we're just gonna walk up to the boss, we're gonna pre-pot, and then we're gonna pop all of our cooldowns. You definitely don't need to save anything because at least the speed that we're killing it, by the time we transition at 80% when the ads spawn, I will have Avatar up to, and of course, I'll have the rest of my buffs up at that time too. And the other part that the boss transitions is at 40%. So just remember 80% and 40%. That's the mythic difficulties where it transitions. So you want to be careful and you want to be watching out for that. As far as for talents, I am going with my single target talent setup. The only difference between this and the other talent setups, that I do for single target is I am using War Paint instead of Bounding Stride, and that's just because there's a lot of unavoidable AoE damage that comes down in this fight. So you want to make sure that you're living through that, and you really do need only one leap every time that you get the techniques, and you're only going to be leaping out of like the Searing Tempest, which is like the big, fire circle that goes around Aggramar. So I'm using Endless Rage, Double Time, Avatar, Warpaint, Frothing Berserker, Bloodbath, and Reckless Abandon. As far as for gear, I am using the Legendary Pants and the Legendary Ring, and I'm using Convergence and my Casgrass Courage as the trinkets. Now, as we get to 80%, I have all my cooldowns, right? So I'm ready, right? The instant that the ads come out, I'm gonna Rampage and then Battlecry Rampage, and then I'm gonna actually scoot over here a little bit and then Odin's Fury both of the both of the big ads, right? It doesn't matter if you hit the mini ads, they're gonna die anyways, but you want to make sure that you want to hit both of the big ads right here, because you do want to kill these two flames as fast as you can, right? Because you are taking a lot of damage during this phase. Not only that, but you do want to actually start moving the boss as much as you can, right? Just so you guys have more room to be kiting all those little ads. As far as for when I use my command and shout, you guys will see there's gonna be two embers gripped right here. When they get gripped, I'm gonna use my command and shout here. Our warrior uses his command and shout previously on the 2 stacks, so our group we do 2 stacks, 2 stacks, and then the rest of the ads we're all going to do 1 ad at a time. Of course, we have 3 DKs. That definitely does make the fight easier. When you have 3 DKs, there's not too many groups out there that have killed it with 2 or 1. It is possible, but it definitely is much easier with multiple DKs. All right, so in 3 seconds, we're gonna get Tachelock's technique. So this is the big thing in Mythic, right? Is that the techniques that come out are gonna be random, right? So the first one is the Searing Tempest. I try to leap out as late as I can on these. Just do know, after the first transition phase, that Searing Tempest will now slowly drag you in. So you want to make sure that when you're leaping to the edge, that you're leaping far enough that you're not accidentally getting pulled in, right? And of course, you want to be leaping out fast enough to where you're not getting caught in, and because it will one-shot you. If you get hit by it will one-shot you. Unfortunately, I did use Battlecry and the boss got moved a little bit, so I probably wasted like 1 GCD during Battlecry, but it's okay. It's not too big of a deal. And then of course for the Flame Rents, you can only take 1 as melee, or as pretty much anybody unless you have immunity. So for our group, we have our melee stacks take the first one, and then we have our range and healer stack take the second one. And you guys can see, like for melee, we go to the right side, and the range and healers, they go to behind the boss. And then it's kind of up to the tanks to position the Flame Rents. And then sometimes our rogues, right, if they have cloak, they will cloak off their first one, take 2 in a row. Tank takes a full breaker, and here's the empowering flame rend. So I come here to the right side, get knocked back, and then charge back into the boss, right? So you definitely want to take advantage of charging because it's free rage. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. And then the other thing is, since you're only going to get knocked back with 2 mechanics, right? That's why you do want to go with double time, because you're going to be charging pretty much the boss like twice in a row. So you want to make sure you have that. And then in regards to like how often I'm going to use my cooldown before the 2 transition phases, right? Like the 80% and the 40% transition phase. I also watch the HP of the boss. If his HP is 5% or lower from transitioning, then I won't pop my cooldowns, right? But if it's more than that, then I'll pop my cooldowns. Get enough procs. On average, I should be able to have my cooldowns up by the time he transitions. Of course, this is dependent on just how fast your guild is killing the boss, right? If your guild pushes the boss really fast, if everybody's super geared, you might want to up that percentage a little bit. But right here, when the boss is at 43, 44%, I'm just going to hold my cooldowns here. I'm going to wait until he goes to transition phase. Right after this Searing Tempest, he's actually going to go transition, so we'll go on from there. And of course, don't forget that you can keep DPSing the boss until he puts up this shield right there, right? Until he gets that Flame Guard thing, you can keep hitting him, right? So we're going to Rampage, Battlecry Rampage, Odin Sphere, both the mini ads. Unfortunately, there's a little fire spawn right there. Missed a couple of GCDs off my Battlecries. It is unfortunate. So definitely some improvements I can do with the positioning there. If I got back to the flame a little bit faster, or if I got further away and I could charge it, that would actually give me enough rage to use 2 Rampages in Battlecry. Alright, so we do Lust right there to kill those big ads as fast as we can. And then here we are on the boss, right? Once you transition phase, once you transition after 40% and you're on the boss, you just pop your cooldowns whenever you want because there's nothing else afterwards. The only time you would want to hold it is if you know a Searing Tempest is coming out. Yeah, like don't hit Battlecry like as the Searing Tempest happens. That's not good. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, at the bottom of my weak orders now, I do have an Odin's Champion weak order now. You guys can see at the bottom. I actually got really lucky with the procs here. Actually, I think if you guys can rewind back and count it, but I'm pretty sure I get like 7 Odin's Champion procs in a row there, which is pretty insane. So right there, so even though I did use my Battlecry kind of like mini, like right before the Searing Tempest, as long as you get your Battlecries out before, that's fine. Even if the Flame Run knocks you back, that can actually work in your favor because you get knocked back, you charge back in, that's enough rage to hit another Rampage. So not too big of a deal. And then this kill, so this is our first kill, and it's actually a relatively clean attempt at this fight. I think only one person died the entirety of the fight. I think we only had 1 death. So you guys don't get to see like the super long execute phases, but be aware, Aggramar definitely does have a really long, not really long, but like it's relatively long compared to the other bosses in the execute phase. I think I ended up reaching about 40 Juggernaut stacks here with everybody alive. Alright, so we enter execute phase. I'm just going to be using my executes and my rampages whenever I get the free procs. I know that a lot of people have questions about, oh, when do you do like the 2 executes versus rampage, and the 3 executes during rampage? A lot of times it depends on just how much rage that I have, right? If I see that I have a lot of rage, then I'll be more inclined to do 3 executes between a rampage. If I'm lacking rage, then I'll do 2 between a rampage. And if I just don't have the rage, I might just even do 1 execute and 1 rampage. It kind of depends on how much rage you're at the moment. And of course, if you don't have the Massacre proc, then you can't hit the rampage, right? The other thing on this fight is that depending on when you guys lust, so since we lust like in the middle of the fight, that's when I second pot. But if you guys wanted to, and if you guys like lust early on, like in the beginning of the fight or something, and you still have your second pot, definitely using a prolong during execute phase here isn't even that bad. Because the execute phase is relatively long. I think you get 2 to 3 battle cries depending on how you kind of save them. Alright, so here we have the last, few percent executing the boss. I think if I was like trying really hard to parse, I could actually walk over to those ads and Odin Sphere all of them. But I definitely did want to kill this boss, as fast as possible. So there you have it, and the boss goes down. One last thing, after you transition the phase, after 40%, whenever your tanks get hit by a full breaker, they're gonna get stunned, and when the healer dispels them, it's gonna do a small AoE damage. So you guys will see like somewhere in the video, like when the tank gets full breaker, I'll try to walk out and then walk back in. If the healer dispels it immediately, I don't get hit, that's great. If not, I get hit by a little bit, but just do be aware that that's something that's gonna happen. But as always, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to subscribe to see more. See ya.